Mm. Hey, shalom, good people. My brothers and sisters, I thought I would take this time while it's on my mind to deal with an issue in regarding the names, the sacred names. And I shudder when I say the term sacred names because people associate that term with a particular group or something. But no, I'm talking about the sacred names of the Father and of the Son. And I just want to deal with the Son's name specifically. And one of the reasons why I'm doing this because I had responded, for lack of a better term, to something that was said by Moray in Charlotte, North Carolina, New Covenant Congregation of Israel. And he had made the comment, which shocked me, quite frankly, that Yahshua and Jesus, they're one and the same, basically because Jesus is a correct transliteration of the name Yahshua, quote, unquote. Okay, so I responded to the video because there was an elder sister that felt some kind of way about that saying that he said. So he tries to get her to understand his particular point of view and showing, oh yeah, but at the same time, he don't agree with using the name Jesus because, and I believe in the Greek, the suffix of sus, S-U-S, translates to pig. So because of that, he don't use that term. So we use the term Yahshua. But in terms of Yahshua and Jesus being one of the same, that is something that he believes in, and it's based off of his understanding of transliteration. Okay, so let me share this in terms of transliteration. And I'm going to use a Hebrew person because we are talking about a Hebrew person, okay? If a Hebrew person has a specific name, then just say we're transliterating it, not translating, but transliterating it to the Greek language. What's going to happen is that there are some characters in the Hebrew that don't line up with the Greek characters. Therefore, there is going to be a not a total 100% transliteration, which when we say literation, we're talking about reading the words, not pronunciating it, but just reading it, so, or even specifically writing it. Okay, so the Messiah's name is made up of the Hebrew characters Yod, He, Shin, Ayin. Okay, Yod, He, Shin, Ayin. I wish I can show you what those characters look like. In some Bibles, in Psalms 119, it'll show you these characters because the 119th Psalm is broken down, it's separated by Hebrew characters. So if you turn there, you will see these, the breakdown of how it's broken down in these Hebrew sections, okay? But Yod, He, Shin, Ayin, okay? And while I'm talking about this, people will say, well, it ain't important for you to know the Hebrew. Check this out. Check this out. This is what I'm trying to say. When we're dealing with the actual names of the Father and the names of the Son, it is very, very important to know where these names that we use come from, or else you might not be James Foxworthy, whatever his name, Foxworthy dude. You may not be calling on the correct names, okay? So it is important Just like it's important for someone to call you by your proper name, okay? So be it as it may, Yod He Shin Ayin is the Hebrew, is how Yahshua is spelled out. And some people might say Yahushua, Yasha, about a lot of different ways that you can pronounce the Yod He Shin Ayin, because the vowels, people put the vowels inside of it that gives it a different dialect, a different way of enunciation. But as long as you're saying the Yod He Shin Ayin, Yasha, and however way you say it, it's fine, because linguistically speaking, even though the letters or characters are consistent, dialect changes and evolves according to time and region. It don't change the Yod He Shin Ayin. It just changes the way that people pronounce it, okay? So, stick with me. If I speak English, here's a question. If I speak English, should I transliterate it from those Hebrew characters, or should I transliterate it from the Greek characters? Because the New Testament was written in Greek. To transliterate a Hebrew name into the Greek, which is not going to be total proper because of the discrepancy of the alphabet, which I'm about to show you. Some people will mess up, and they may, and I'm saying may because the truth of the matter is they really shouldn't end up with Jesus, okay? But when you carefully transliterate, it's going to be impossible for you to end up with Jesus from Yahshua. So let's go back to this. Yod He Shin Ayin, Yahshua. All right, now, since the Bible's written in Greek, let's see how we can line up these characters into the Greek. The Greek don't have a yod equivalent. Why, as in English, we say why. See, English has that equivalent, but Greek do not. So the name will begin with iota, like an I. That's what they did. They took words and names that begin with the yod, and they replaced the yod with a iota, I. Okay? So you got iota. Let me see. Oh, okay. You got iota, omicron. I guess that's the O. Sigma, because Greek don't have the sh character, sh. So whenever you see a sh in the Hebrew, it's simply S. Not a Z, but it's a S. Not a zeta, but sigma, S. So what we got here? We got iota, omicron, sigma, let's see what that leaves us with. That leaves us with the UAH. So, it's going to be something in there, but then you got an alpha, which is the A, and that's basically going to be it. But the point is this, that in the 1611 King James Version, when you read the verse Hebrews 4:8, for if Yahshua would have given them rest, you look up at the notes, and here's the spelling. This spelling comes from the Greek transliteration. Get this. It's IOSUAH. That is the Greek transliteration of Yahshua. There is no Zeus, Seuss, or any of those other false narratives of transliteration. The Greek is Ioshuah. But guess what? How do you pronounce Ioshuah? The first time I saw it, I initially was like, Iosua. But see, here's the thing. You pronounce it the way it's pronounced in Hebrew. Because the writing attempt was attempt to match the letters from another language. But you're not going to enunciate it in the way that you see it there. You're only going to enunciate it, sound it out in the way that it sounds in the Hebrew. So Ioshuah is going to be Yahshua. Even though you don't see a H, S-H, sh, you know that in the Hebrew there's a sh, and there you got Yahshua. So when you come to the English, you ain't got to deal with the I. Greeks dealt with the I because they didn't have a Y. But in the English, in the 26 letters that we have, we can properly transliterate the Hebrew because we also have sh, S-H, makes the one letter in Hebrew sheen, which is S-H. But English, we got to put two letters, S-H, to duplicate the sh sound. So every character that's in the 22 Hebrew characters can be properly duplicated, replicated, or whatever in the Hebrew. The Greek, and if the name is Greek, guess what? We can also duplicate it from the Greek. But when you go from Hebrew to Greek, and from the Greek to English, you're not going to get the correct transliteration or the vocalization of the name. I hope somebody hear me. So again, the Yod He Shin Ayin in the English is going to be Yahshua. Or like I said, if you pronounce it Yahoshua, Yeshua, Yasha, all of those ways that you pronounce it, it's going to be Yod He Shin Ayin. I hope somebody understands what I'm saying there, because it's really just that simple. It don't follow any type of crazy rules, because what happened is that when they say that it is Jesus or Jesus, they'll give you these rules like, well, whenever the S comes between two vowels, like I-E, S-O, or S-E, then you don't say S, you say Z. Why would you say Z when you're coming from the Hebrew, which is sh? See, that don't make sense. It don't make sense. It should only, if that rule exists, it should only apply to a Greek name. But if you're transliterating it from another language, you got to do it according to how it's given in that other language. So they're making an excuse for the Z, and then to say the name ends with an S. Yahshua in the Greek ends with an S because the S denotes masculine. We're not dealing with a Greek person. We're dealing with Hebrew. If that rule applies, it applies to a Greek personage, if that rule applies. But we're not dealing with a Greek. We're dealing with a Hebrew. So what's important is to properly duplicate the name from its original language, not to apply stupid rules that does not pertain to someone that is in Greek. I sure hope y'all understanding what I'm saying. If not, go back and get to the part where you got messed up in and then come back, because it's going to be clear. It's going to be clear if you take your time and listen. But the point is that Yahshua into the English is you can get the correct letters. Yahshuah, Yahshua. And it's going to be pronounced Yahshua. The Greek gave it Ioshuah. Guess how it reads? Yahshua. It's just that simple. Now, I didn't want to make this transliteration lesson to be long, but the point of the whole thing was that the character of Jesus, is a whole different personage from the historical Yahshua. The one that you read in the New Testament is Yahshua. Even though you will see the name Jesus there that they planted there, but the personage of Jesus is literally a God of the nations. Deuteronomy 28:64 told us that wherever we go to, we'll be serving gods of wood and stone, the gods of the nations. I think it's pretty fair to deduct that Jesus is a God of many European nations. Jesus. And he's separate because he is a God of wood and stone. You see stone statues of Jesus. You see wooden statues of Jesus. The whole worship of Jesus has a separate doctrine where they worship him on the first day of the week that we call Sunday, the Son's Day. The doctrine of Jesus had delivered us from the laws of Torah. The worship of Jesus is the absence of observing the laws of the quote-unquote Old Testament. That's Jesus' worship. Christmas, Easter, all of these Christian holidays is Jesus/Zeus worship. Okay? The whole being born on December 25th. It all comes down to pagan worship. And I could keep going and going and going, but the fact is that Deuteronomy 28:46, I believe, that 46 or 44, told us clearly that in the lands of our captivity, we'll be serving the gods of wood and stone. Jesus is a God of wood and stone in the nations that we have been scattered. Jeremiah 2:11, have a nation change their gods? Question, have a nation changed their gods? They have not changed their gods. There's no nation on this earth that I know of that worships Yah and keep his commandments. As a nation, they have not changed their gods. They still worship it. So these Europeans have been worshiping Jesus, i.e. Zeus, way before Yahshua came into the flesh 2,000 some years ago. Okay? Scriptures bear witness of it. History bear witness of it. And it's not that hard to see. It's not that deep either. Okay? So anyway, that was 20 minutes of some edification on transliteration and a separation between Jesus and Yahshua. Two separate entities. I hope you got something out of it, and join us each and every Sabbath from the Spirit of Yah YouTube channel where we broadcast live at 12:30 p.m. And until later, Hope you guys have a edifying and Baruch blessed day. Shalom.